Hey, it's good to see you again. This is Richard Myers, and I want to bring just a short video to point out a very interesting thing that I saw the other day on YouTube. I have presented in two recent videos what I call or what I categorize as a mistranslation. I think there are two mistranslations in the New Testament that are critical. Most of them are most of the translation errors or changes are kind of irrelevant and minor, but these two affect major issues in our lives, and this one particularly relates to our departure soon to take place. And so it's in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3. And so I know that quite a few of you watched this video, one of the most popular videos that I have produced. And so I know a number of you are aware of this mistranslation that I've categorized. In verse 3, Paul is talking to them about questions that they had brought to him. And he says, "Let no one in any way deceive you, for it," and it, of course, talks about something that, again, a pronoun that they had to know what he was talking about. If you look in the context above, he's talking about our departure, our being caught up to meet the Lord in the air. So it's not unclear. It will not come unless the apostasia comes first. So he gives a very clear statement that the tribulation, the day of the Lord, and the problems that are going to surround the conclusion of human history on this planet, difficult times of judgment by God, and they were concerned about it because it was a horrible thing. And so he said, the day of the Lord, will not come unless the apostasia comes first. And so this Greek word apostasia is, I think, mistranslated. Now it's translated in your text and most text as rebellion. And if you go to the various reference books, dictionaries and so forth, you'll see that the meaning of the word is generally given as rebellion. And so apostasia in the Greek came over into English as apostasy, meaning a rebellion from something, usually a religious rebellion against orthodoxy or against the Bible or against whatever. And so I then believe that this word fundamentally means departure. Apostasia in the Greek is a fundamental idea of a departure. We're going to go to the grocery store. We're going to depart our house to the grocery store. Apostasy is simply departure, and it is used in that way. And then sometimes it's used together with the word like departure from Moses, and there you might describe it as a rebellion. And so that's the background, and you all watch this, and some of you said, well, I couldn't be right because the reference materials don't support me. Well, you need to relate to Dr. Ellison in his book that I referenced. He gives a complete word study. But the problem that everyone has, if you translate this as rebellion, the problem is the definite article. This is the apostasia. It is the definite article means that it's something that the Thessalonian believers understood, had been talked about, that you don't use the definite article unless the people you're talking to know exactly what you mean. The car, or the house, or in this case, the apostasia. And so this is one of my focus points. And so the other day I'm listening to Dinesh, and I like Dinesh, and I would commend his podcast to you. It's great stuff. And at the end of his podcast, he takes questions from his viewers. And so this is what I want to relate to basically. Now, this was podcast titled Takeover. It was episode or podcast number 189, and the timestamp for this question is minute 51. So if you want to skip, or if you've seen it, or if you want to go to it and review, it's minute 51 plus a little bit. for this viewer's questions. So the viewer's question is this: is the wokeness and the woke idea the Great Rebellion? And so Dinesh did not know this verse, and he did not know what the questioner was talking about. And so he answered a question that he thought the viewer asked, but really the viewer didn't ask that, because the viewer was asking about this verse here. And he now has taken the definite article and he's turned the rebellion into the Great Rebellion. So account for the definite article, he calls this rebellion a Great Rebellion. And so my ears perked up because I realized exactly what he was asking. Is wokeness the Great Rebellion? And of course, it can't possibly be, because the people who are woke are not Christians for the most part. It's certainly not a Christian doctrine, certainly not a biblical doctrine. And so to describe it as related to this chapter would be totally bogus and totally misdirection. But I just noticed that, again, that definite article has to be accounted for. And this person, in the context of his biblical understanding and biblical training, had understood the word is translated rebellion, so he said, well, if it's the definite article, it must be a great rebellion. Well, that makes it even more difficult to account for, because a great rebellion, I mean, what are we talking about? Half the earth or most of the Christians? Again, it makes no sense. And I just wanted to point out how people have mistranslated this and misunderstood it, and it is a point of controversy, because if you understand it as the departure, then it's our departure that he's talking about, and he's clearly saying that the great tribulation and the great day of the Lord, which is coming, will be preceded by our departure. And so it's a clear statement of a pre-tribulational rapture viewpoint, and it clears it up. You can't get past this verse. Every other verse then has to be understood in relation to this verse. So properly translated, this this verse closes the door. And I think this is wonderful. But I just wanted you to go to that question, and it was interesting. Dinesh D'Souza did not know about this issue, and when the questioner asked it, he did not understand the question and answered a different question. And so he's wanting to account for the definite article and turn it into a great rebellion. But no, it's the departure. The simple meaning of the word apostasia is departure. Again, interesting, and I hope you enjoy this video, and there's more to come. Sure enjoy having you join me. Thank you.